I'm doing them in 5, basically. I'm gonna order them in 5.
Everything.
So...
Fire everything right fucking now.
Okay, I'll fire everything now. I just was finishing talking to Marcus and
Step out.
Okay, I'm gonna talk to Marcus.
Now, get the fuck off my expo chef now! Get the fuck off! Thank you! We're firing 76 beefs, 34 chickens, okay? 12 french fries, 12 mash, fucking now! Thank you!
So we just saw how Carmi, this young chef, went berserk on his sous chef. To go berserk is to become angry, violent, to lose control. Today we are learning English with The Bear. This is a series about a young, talented chef who's trying to save his small family restaurant in Chicago. The show is super fast-paced, capturing the intense pace of real kitchens in the restaurants. But before that, if you're new to our channel, first of all, welcome aboard. Thank you for choosing us. And let me tell you that every week on this channel, we create lessons just like this one to help you understand your favorite movies and TV series without getting lost, without missing the jokes, and without subtitles. So subscribe to our channel and hit that bell down below and not to miss a single new video. And now let's finally watch the clip. In the scene we'll watch today, we'll see Carmi opening his heart about his difficult relationship with his brother, who recently passed away, and who was the previous owner of the restaurant. Let's check it out.
I always thought my brother was my best friend. Like we just knew everything about each other. Except everybody thought he was their best friend. You know, he was that magnetic. And I didn't know my brother was using drugs. What does that say? As we got older, I realized I didn't know anything about him, really. He stopped letting me into the restaurant a couple of years ago. He just cut me off cold, and that hurt, you know?
What's happening here in this scene? What's Carmi talking about?
Yeah, the most interesting fact about this very clip is that it comes at the very end of the show. And during the show, we just get tidbits of what actually happened, or what is the background story. I really like it about the show that we see most of the time just like the kitchen, these obstacles he's facing and overcoming and trying to get by with like so many debts and like financial problems and like other problems as well. But occasionally he gets to this more personal, emotional storyline about his relationship with the brother who passed away. And at the very end of the season, that's exactly this monologue. He is talking to people in a group. He just came there because his brother used to visit this group, being an addict, as we learned from this clip. And he just wanted to connect more to his brother through sharing these things, his feelings, with the people who knew his brother.
I always thought my brother was my best friend. Like we just knew everything about each other. Except everybody thought he was their best friend. You know, he was that magnetic.
So he says that he always thought that his brother was his best friend and that they knew everything about each other, except everybody thought he was their best friend too. So what does that word mean there, except, in that sentence?
That's a very interesting use of this word. It's almost the same as saying like, but in reality, right? So he said, I thought this and that, but in reality, there's something else, that I didn't know about, maybe. It's just like adding an extra information that in some way either complements what you've said or contradicts it.
Except everybody thought he was their best friend. You know, he was that magnetic.
So he's saying that his brother was magnetic, and it relates to what he said before. Everybody thought he was their friend. Yeah? What does it mean, magnetic, a magnetic personality?
So a magnet is this object that attracts other objects. Usually we're talking about metals. So it's that object that you put on the surface of your fridge, your refrigerator. But this is more figurative. So a person who is considered to be magnetic, they attract other people. Other people like them, love them, right? So this is he's talking about his brother being really magnetic.
Yeah. These were really nice expressions that you might want to use in your next English conversations. And memorizing words has never been easier. All our video lessons are accompanied by an exclusive deck of flashcards covering all the words defined in this lesson. And to get your vocabulary practice, follow the next steps. Download the Real Life English app from your favorite app store, or just grab the link in the description to this video. Then, using your phone, as soon as you finish this lesson, again, open the description, and there you'll find a special link that will redirect you to the deck of flashcards. Have your vocabulary practice and set your daily goals and reminders not to miss your next session. And finally, use a global speak to practice all those new words in real life English conversations with other English learners. Now let's get back to the lesson.
I didn't know my brother was using drugs. What does that say?
What does that say? It means, what conclusion can you draw from that? He just said that he thought they were best friends, and he didn't know about his brother being an addict. So it's kind of a rhetorical question. What does that say? Yeah. Does it mean that I didn't know my brother so well?
Just analyzing the things that he's saying, because it's revealing. It's like, oh, I didn't know that my brother was using drugs. What does that tell about me? What does that tell about our relationship? You know what that says. You know, we know what that means.
I just wanted also to add about the nature of these monologue. He's not like giving a speech. It's more like a reflection. He's just like thinking, talking out loud. Right now, he's just voicing his thoughts about his brother, about their relationship. So it's very like personal reflection.
And it's interesting the way he pronounces that entire phrase. What does that say? How did he say that sentence actually?
So the connected speech here, yeah? What I hear about what does that say is that T from what, it actually morphs into the D sound of does. What does. So he pronounces it together, what does. And then it forms just again one group of words. What does that say? What does that say? Yeah. The most important part is this first two words, they morph together.
What does that say? He stopped letting me into the restaurant a couple of years ago. He just cut me off cold, and that hurt, you know?
Interesting use of the phrase let somebody into or let somebody in. Is it he physically didn't want him in his restaurant, didn't let him in, like didn't open the doors for him?
Yeah, it could be literal, but also just like he was not invited there. He was not welcome at the restaurant. So you were just not letting him in or into it. Also sharing information. Yeah, sharing some secrets, because this phrase also can be used in this sense, like I want to let you into something. Yeah, meaning like I want to share some secrets with you. And there is this interesting grammar point. So stop is one of those verbs that interestingly changes meaning depending on whether it is followed by a gerund or the infinitive. So there is a difference in meaning between sentences like I stopped smoking or I stopped to smoke. Could you explain this difference here, Easy? Yeah, I actually see a lot of people making this mistake. So if you stop to do something, that means you're stopping what you're doing and then you're starting to do that other thing. So I'm gonna stop to smoke. I'm gonna stop working to start smoking. But if you're stopping smoking, that means you're quitting smoking or you are just interrupting your action of smoking right there. Like I'm stopping smoking. And I think the same thing happens with a few other verbs in English. Can you give us another example of another verb where you have the same formula?
So another word I can think of is try. So when you try to do something, you're putting effort. So maybe it's difficult. Like I tried to open the door, right? But I couldn't. Maybe something stopped the door. And try doing something. So it's like an experiment. I tried smoking and I didn't like it. So I never started smoking in my life.
Yeah, there's no effort involved so much. It's just like something that you want to find out, and you can easily do it probably if you want to.
He stopped letting me into the restaurant a couple of years ago. He just cut me off cold, and that hurt, you know?
So judging from the context that we heard him saying that his brother stopped letting him into the restaurant, something went wrong, they stopped communicating, and here's this other phrase, cut somebody off cold. Please explain what it means here.
So if you're cutting someone off of your life, in this case, you are stopping communicating with that person. You're not communicating with them anymore. And to do it cold, to cut someone off cold, is to do it abruptly without giving them a warning or anything, just immediately doing that. And it reminds me of an idiomatic expression that is to quit habit cold turkey. It's usually a collocation that you'd hear with a bad habit. So I'm going to stop smoking cold turkey, for example.
Okay, guys, and now let's watch the second part of the clip.
And I think that flicked this switch in me where I was like, okay, fuck you, watch this. And because we had this connection through food, and he had made me feel so rejected and lame and shitty and uncool, I made this plan where I was gonna go work in all the best restaurants in the world. You know, like I'm gonna go work in real kitchens, like fuck mom and dad's piece of shit, right? And it sounds ridiculous, you know, me saying that now, but that's what I did. And I think that flicked this switch in me where I was like, okay, fuck you, watch this.
What does this phrase mean, watch this?
It's so rich in meaning there, because you can imagine a whole situation. If you say like, watch this, you're probably challenging somebody to, it's like you prove them wrong. So watch me do the thing that you're saying I can't do. It's usually in that context. And he was saying that the whole thing that happened just flipped a switch in him.
That's a very interesting expression. So to flip a switch is to completely change your behavior, right? Like have some drastic change in whatever you're doing.
And because we had this connection through food, and he had made me feel so rejected and lame and shitty and uncool, I made this plan where I was gonna go work in all the best restaurants in the world.
No, wow, so many words here, right? Many of them, they're like very close to each other, close to meaning. So while we will be explaining them, you may notice that there are like some commonalities, like similarities between them. Yeah. When you feel rejected, how do you feel, Izzy?
Yeah, it's when you feel that you're not accepted somewhere, you're not wanted, you're unwanted, so you're rejected. And as you said, these are all negative. And this guy is such a good actor. He's just saying like, made me feel so rejected and lame and shitty and uncool. So there are no commas there. It's just like, and this and that, you know, so it's just like, it's full of intensity. So lame, shitty, uncool, those are similar. What are those?
Yeah, basically, lame is something unpopular, maybe socially awkward. Uncool, isn't that? Like, they're very similar, lame and uncool, because uncool, it's the same way. Yeah. And shitty is just like a bad. Shitty, you may say about the weather, shitty weather, about food, shitty food.
And because we had this connection through food, and he had made me feel so rejected and lame and shitty and uncool, I made this plan where I was gonna go work in all the best restaurants in the world. You know, like I'm gonna go work in real kitchens, like fuck mom and dad's piece of shit, right?
There is some connected speech here. Yeah, first of all, I was gonna go work. So he contracts going to just gonna. And then he says again this whole phrase very quickly, I was gonna go work. We have here a schwa sound in the word was, I was gonna go work. And the next pattern is piece of shit. You know that of is very often gets reduced to just schwa sound. Piece of shit. So we don't hear this f sound or f sound at the end.
And it sounds ridiculous, me saying that now, but that's what I did.
And finally, he says it's ridiculous. Could you define this word, please?
Similar words could be absurd or even laughable, something that you'd laugh at because it's ridiculous. It doesn't deserve any respect or is simply out of place somewhere. And let me ask you, how would you collocate this adjective with other words?
I can think of like ridiculous prices. Those are like items with unreasonably high prices. You could say like ridiculously expensive.
Unreasonably, such a long word. What does that mean?
Basically, there is this tip, a hint inside the word. So there is no reason for this item to be so expensive. And there is an interesting pronunciation to this word. Yeah, ridiculous. It's not that intuitive, right? So maybe you want to practice it. And I would also add that the spelling of the word is challenging. And that's a good reminder for all of our viewers that every lesson is accompanied by a deck of flashcards where you can practice pronunciation, learn the meaning, check the example sentences, and also practice spelling with our new writing exercise. And now it's time for a test. Let's watch the clip one more time, this time without subtitles, and see how much of it you can understand now.
I always thought my brother was my best friend. Like we just knew everything about each other. Except everybody thought he was their best friend. He was that magnetic.
What is the opposite of magnetic in terms of personality? Dull, charismatic, charming?
He stopped letting me into the restaurant a couple of years ago. He just cut me off cold, and that hurt,
Can you think of a synonym for cold in this phrase? He just cut me off cold. Abruptly, calmly, strangely.
And because we had this connection through food, and he had made me feel so rejected and lame and shitty and uncool, I made this plan where I was gonna go work in all the best restaurants in the world.
What's the opposite of rejected? Accepted, denied, ignored? That's it for today. Thank you so much for choosing us. And please, if you enjoyed this lesson, give it a like. And if you haven't yet done so, subscribe to our channel. Actually, my team told me that 60% of you, dear viewers, who are watching these lessons, who are learning with these lessons, are not yet subscribed. So it costs you nothing, but it really helps our channel to grow and help us build a strong community of English learners worldwide. So again, subscribe button, bell down below, give this video a like, and write us a comment. Thank you so much. And if you want to learn some more, I'll meet you in this lesson next.
Has Jane been able to let you take the lead at all since we saw each other last?
I tried. It's not my fault you have asthma.
Why even say that?
How is asthma relevant here?
She's just using it to cut me
Don't
down.
do the thing where you twist it around and make it seem like you're the good guy and I'm being bad.
I'm not. I'm pointing out.
I'm not the villain. You were the one who was actually
I'm not
mean.
the villain either.
Yeah.